To the top right of the map, the Protoss player in blue, down a game in the series. It is
STX Sword Trap.
wow. Great first game between him and his opponent. Starting to the top left of Atlas, in red we have the Lowrider Zerg. Starting for CJ Entus.
CJ Entus effort.
There he is, the Lowrider Zerg. White keys.
I loved how he had like 450 APM earlier and didn't build a single unit sitting on 3,000.
Yeah.
He made the right choice though. He went for the units in the game that always spawn free units.
Yes, and in the late game, when you don't have mining, obviously anything that's free that does damage is what you want. Whether it's a fungal, whether it's a locust, whether it's an infested Terran or a broodling, that's what you want.
You know what was actually like really key for me in the last game? The infestors with their fungals. If not for them, I think Trap could have whittled down the effort.
Yeah, absolutely could have happened. We have a pool first versus a gateway span, so this is not really going to be ideal for effort. He's going to find out about this in just a few seconds when his Overlord gets into the main base. There's nothing he can do to change the past, unless he has a time machine in his pocket and he goes back and what we're talking about is no longer relevant. But since the likelihood of that is very small, now he's going to see this and feel a little bit frustrated.
You know, I feel the last game is one of those matches that really splits like a lot of people in the community. I personally really enjoyed watching this, but I feel thinking from now on like 2 months in the future, if every PvZ starts to look like this, we might find ourselves at some point in a situation where it's going to be a little bit too predictable and too stale. But for now, I have to say I really enjoy this very strategic matches.
Yeah, you know, I feel like it's not always going to be this way. And for me personally, I think that people are going to figure out how to seal the deal faster. TVT was like this for, you know, like 6 months where every game was really long and drawn out and there were 8 center towers and people figured out how to move more confidently, how to actually end these games much faster.
You could also argue that PvZ in Wings of Liberty at the end was very much like this, where we had these scenarios, but the one big difference between the late game Wings of Liberty PvZ and what we see now is that you have constant action in the game. There's always something dying, there are some fights going on, whereas Wings of Liberty kind of ended in a scenario where you had one neural and then suddenly everything would die, or you had the vortex and everything would die, or a good blink. So in this scenario, I feel there's much more action going on. It's much more action-packed to see what's going on in the late game here.
I couldn't agree more. You know, it's definitely a step up from what we saw in Wings of Liberty for me in terms of spectating and excitement.
The Zergling's still trying to eat away at the hit points of the Nexus that we have at the natural for Trap, who went into the gateway first, which results, of course, in effort not taking a fast third base. You can already see that we are 5 minutes into the game and we don't see a third hatch for the Zerg player. So he just reacted with getting his speed faster in the game and will start his tech a lot faster than he would with a 3-base play.
Yeah. I wonder what sort of tech... I expect to see Stargate come out as soon as this Ling is dead, but he has to start making a choice because, you know, he's got to do something about this Ling, and if the Ling lingers around all too much longer, his tech is going to be so delayed that he's going to be in a very uncomfortable position. He's still barely not able to get it. There it is.
Gets the additional 2 gateways, will be on 3 now, which offers him to be aggressive, but we have the Stargate as the follow-up here. No big surprises here. The gateways, of course, also functioning as a wall at the front.
Yeah. Ling's chasing away that probe. Effort taking a very safe... well, you know, he will take a safe third if it comes to that, but right now, choosing to not. With these evolution chambers, we could be seeing that 3-base hive play.
And speed is nearly done. We have additional Zerglings that could catch those sentries off guard. If he gets... I don't think that he will get into the base. We've seen so many run-bys today that you always have to...
You have to wonder.
Yeah, you have to wonder if he might be able to pull it off, but on the other hand, if you pay attention to the minimap, if you see what's coming, you should always be able to place down the force field or warp in a zealot, unless you are in cooldown.
Yeah. So, drone going to take 3rd base here, and...
Yeah. Before that, we have the tech into layer, so exactly what we would expect with the gateway opening from Trap. That's just the reaction that you get out of the Zerg player these days.
Those Lings you were talking about, you know, those are some really panicky force fields. The last second.
Trap a little bit fast on the trigger here, throwing down 2.
Well, a second Forge. Well, actually, this is the first Forge. This is really Gateway Expand. Forge is coming down. His upgrades are a little bit late as a result.
We've seen so many aggressive plays on this map by Protoss players, especially this Zealot heavy style where you either go for the Immortals or add a few Archons if you want to delay it a little bit, is so popular these days. But right now what we see is Effort just going for a more macro-oriented game, heading into not only the Stargate but adding the robotics here and then going into his +1 attack upgrade. For Effort, we have the third base delayed as expected, still trying to scout as much as possible with Lings, and I feel that's exactly what he needs to do. We've seen so many Zergs die because they didn't see the Protoss move out and weren't ready.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely true. I wonder if Trap will even take a third base this game. I mean, on this map, it's really good to take a third base in these positions because you expand towards your opponent. It's not very far away, but he's adding a second Forge now. So that seems more and more likely. He's also getting an Observer, so no Mortal Push.
Yeah. With the second Forge, we will most likely see a longer game and him taking a third base later on. And what do you know? Effort, of course, adding again the Infestation Pit. We will see Swarm Hosts also in game number 2.
Yeah, very late robotics tech, so
this is the time for you guys to grab yourself a Coke, get yourself something to eat. This might be a long game.
Yeah. Go run, grab it right now. And before you get up, hey, sit back down for a second. Now, I want you to turn your volume up really loud so you can hear everything we're saying so you don't miss anything. And then go get a Coke because you can hear us throughout your house that way. You know, if your sister's sleeping, though, and she has a really important exam tomorrow, you should probably be, understanding. Don't turn it up too loud.
Ah, screw her. If she doesn't have school tomorrow, that's fine. Depending on the time zones.
Yeah, depending, of course.
You know, we have a very low economy here for Effort. 40 Harvesters. I mean, Trap took down a few drones, but that is not a lot of units. I mean, this is like crazy.
It's kind of weird. Yeah, he's quite down in supply as well. It starts the Locust lifetime.
He doesn't saturate his third base at all. A lot of Zerglings now trying to take down this attempt to establish a third base. There are Lings everywhere. With the 1-1 upgrades, they can do so much against the Zealots.
Yeah, those Zealots looking a little bit confused there, trying to hide behind the force fields, and he will clean up the Zealots. In fact, without the Phoenix support, the Phoenixes, though, do end up saving him. Just barely, though. But Effort's still quite significantly down in supply.
Yeah, Effort does not drone up. As a Zerg, you want to be ahead of economy of your opponent if you don't go for a timing attack. And Effort is now adding the Hive tech, Locust upgrades, speed upgrades for the Roaches and everything, but he needs a lot more drones if he wants to sustain this.
It just looks like he might want to try to push out a little bit soon here with some Vipers, Roaches, and the Swarm Hosts, of course. But he's getting +2 for his Lings, which I find a little bit strange. Well, so he may be going into Ultras instead.
He has 63 now, so he added another round of drones while we were looking at the third base and at the unit count station. So with 63, he has a good saturation on all 3 bases. He didn't even take the gas hit at the third.
He's going to get a cancel on the space again.
Effort is just playing this so smart. I mean, game 1 was already really well done. But now he's trying to just delay this third for as long as possible. The cancel is not something he can achieve with all those units ready. But still, he's pressuring it.
He almost got it, and just targeting one of those Paladins first by mistake. But it's the pressure that matters. He loses all of his Lings, however. And Trap is starting to get aggressive here. He's got +2 lining up. He's got some Archons in this army. And he's like, you keep throwing Lings at me. Right now, Effort has no units. He has 67 drones and 6 Queens. That's it, and he's facing a really strong push. Army supply right now, 55 to 40.
Those Swarm Hosts are also not ready, and the Queens are already being lifted. They will be taken out in a second. Oh, the Swarm Hosts are being lifted! Only 2 of them burrow, and this is horrible right now for Effort. Trap is moving in with everything that he has, and the Archons are going in after the Zealots lead the charge.
He's picking up Locusts with Phoenixes, and this is looking tragic because the Observer is here. He's taking out everything that's burrow. Effort has a supply lead, though. He's remaxing in Roaches, 24 of them.
There's so many Zealots now moving in. The Archon's still doing damage. The Roach is trying to run away and kite his opponent's units. But the Swarm Hosts are gone. They were too late as it is, and now all of them are dead.
More and more Zealots warping in here. He's got Immortals on the way. He's picking up anything he can with these Phoenixes, Roaches included. Charged Zealots rolling in. He's got +2.
The drones have been pulled. The upgrades are good for the Zerg player, but they're just not enough with all those Archons going to town. The Roach is trying to kite as much as they can, but the Phoenixes are still doing damage. Finally, we have the Roach numbers here for Effort to push this back. but oh my god, did he lose a lot.
Yeah, that was really a fine line, though, that Trap was walking. And, you know, I'm not sure if he's balanced it out here on that tightrope right now, because he is getting blinked very late. He has a few more immortals. The key is that he keeps effort on 3 bases and force him to use a lot of larva how he didn't want to. He's ahead in workers at 59 to 57 right now.
20 harvesters were killed overall by Trap, but now we have the Wrath of Effort moving in. All the roaches, can he do damage? Doesn't really look like it with the overcharge for the Nexus already in position.
Yeah, a few Phoenixes grabbing onto a roach or two. 1 or 2 roaches getting into the main base. I don't know how that happened, but
Trap getting also ahead in overall supply, but we have a lot of resources banked up for Effort, who now starts to use them. The problem really are the Immortals here. They do so much damage against the roaches that Effort can't use the supply that he has.
Yeah, and losing those Stormos is a big problem. Now he's compositionally in the wrong place. He's down 20 supply. He lost those roaches very inefficiently. He's trying to get those Stormos out to really hold on to his bases a little bit longer.
A lot of queens here guarding the natural of Effort. The Phoenixes just can't do anything against them. 6 queens in total trying to dish out as much damage as possible.
Finally takes out that last roach. Robotic support bay on the way, Blink nearly done, and with this Warp Prism coming out, he's going to attack Effort again, and this time he wants to kill the third. He's setting his power from stun to kill at this moment in time.
Effort taking a deep breath here for the time being. He has done a good job and was able to thwart these attacks, but now the Protoss player on the move again, and he's ahead in supply, still relying on Archons, but now Immortals are in the mix.
Yeah. A few more Zealots coming in, and Effort is going to try to trade with his free units as much as possible here before the attack hits. There's a second Robotics going up.
The queens are important here. He needs to have transfuse also for the Swarm Host. The problem is that roaches won't cut it. He needs the Locusts here to help him out against this army. Because with 3 Immortals, roaches are not going to do a thing. Nidus Network coming up though.
Yeah, and he could do several different things with this. I think he may use it at the north next to Trap's Natural and try to come in from the left side that way.
But only if he gets one of those Zerglings in position, because there's not a single Overlord.
Oh, wow, Lings get into the main base. We goes to the Natural instead. You guys are not seeing it, but I'm seeing it. These probes are going down.
If he hides one of the Zerglings in the main to take his Nidus, this would be amazing for him. In the main base, the Warp Prism though, oh my god, he can't afford to lose the Queens and those structures. He needs to save his tech, but it's going to be difficult for him to pull off the Warp Prism with the Warpins.
Yep. Nidus still not being used.
Nice transfuses here.
Those Overlords are stacked.
Loses the Queen, and now at the third, the Protoss player is moving in, but the Locusts are forcing him back.
He has so many Queens covered. He has 10 of them out right now. He's about to have 13, and that's going to be the unlucky number for Trap, especially if they start going through a Nidus somewhere.
Archon is going down against the Locusts. They are so valuable for Effort. There is just no area of effect damage for Trap. He doesn't have Storm, and he does not have Colossi. He's just now building them, and he needs them.
He's starting to get those Colossi out. Few Phoenixes going around the left side here. Wants to get some scouting information, maybe kill some more Harvesters. He's been doing a great job with this all game long, killing these Harvesters. Right now up to 26 drones killed.
Game 1 was already amazing, and this one is shaping up to be a great game as well. Another base to the right side of the map, where Trap takes a fourth now. Ultralisk Cavern on its way.
Ultralisk Cavern feels like a bit of a gamble. He knows there's a lot of Immortals out right now, and if that gets scouted, it's going to be so easy for Effort to hard counter him. There's the Nidus.
The Nidus at a good position towards the third base, or the natural of Trap.
Yeah, that's exactly the place I was talking about earlier. If he makes it here, he can send those Swarmhouse, then suddenly the Swarmhouse actually have a great position on the natural.
And by using this position to where does he want to go with those? By using this position for the Swarmhouse, he could also protect his fourth base that he's currently taking.
Yeah. Absolutely true. It's such a positional play here with that Nidus. He's actually just going to walk potentially over there. Okay, now he wanted to kill the Observer first. He doesn't want him to know about this, I guess.
Yeah, takes the Observer down.
Maybe he's just not going to use it quite yet. This is a little bit strange.
Fourth base at the bottom right. He could also use it for circling run-bys later on if he attacks at the bottom right. Talking about run-bys, Zealots on the way.
Yeah, Zealots over here are spotted, but they're going to do work against those Zerglings. As soon as the Roaches show up, though, it's going to be a different story.
What I really like about Trap, that he's always getting the shield upgrades. That's something that few Protoss players do, but Trap is doing that right off the bat once that he's researched the last attack upgrade. And now he took down the Nidus. He saw the Nidus Network earlier with the Observer, looked for it, found one, took it out.
4% speed on the way. Stalkers blinking in here using that high ground vision. They're going to kill the hatchery, then blink away. Nice micro here.
Where are the transfuses? He has 10 queens there with enough energy.
No excuse for that, yeah.
Ah, that was a huge oversight by Effort. That base, he should have not lost this.
8 Ultralists on the way. Effort has been biding his time.
I could actually not believe it. I mean, I've seen it and all the queens were right there and I was like, okay, well, he's starting it a little bit late, but still.
Yeah, there's no good excuse for that. He's going to stop +3 Carapace from finishing. Well, this time he transfuses, but it's a bit too late.
Yeah, it's too late. The Carapace upgrade is not done in time. Ultralisks are moving in. The Warp Prism is saving as many Zealots as it personally can.
Effort is ahead in supply, but you know, holding this 4th base is so critical because if he doesn't hold that, then eventually Trap will also just catch up with him. He's also got that base at the bottom right, which is for him so much easier to hold because it's so far away from anything that Effort wants to send to him.
Trap sees the Ultralisk and he starts to build more Immortals. He already has a lot in his army composition, but he needs more. And we have seen Ultralisk go up against an Immortal Heavy army and just evaporate, even with the Queens being there for the transfuses.
Yeah.
You need to be so on top of your micro if you want to make this composition work against such a strong anti-massive, anti-armored unit.
The best composition you could ever have against Ultralisk is Archon Immortal, and that's what he's building right now, making 2 Immortals at a time, more and more Archons. Feedbacks on the Queens, so smart.
Really good feedbacks, and now the Ultralisks are moving in,
Good
trying
flank.
to get a shot against those Colossi.
It's a good flank, but you know, the composition is just so bad for Effort comparatively here.
Yeah, the problem is that the Queens are way too far away from all those Ultralisks. He can't possibly transfuse.
Time Warp as well, really slowing down those transfuses, and Trap may have just done it here. He's got also Zealots killing the rest of these drones.
The position for Trap was so good. The Queen's never in range of the Ultralisk. The Time Warp was there just in time. More Ultralisks are being built, but with all the Immortals that are on the map and the additional Colossi, it just doesn't look like Effort will be able to make this happen.
It certainly does not. He's starting to lose Swarmos over here as well.
He can't even burrow. There are 2 observers already.
Tries to hide behind that Spore Crawler. Observers have speeds. They do escape.
And even the Locust won't be able to stop this, not with this many Colossi sticking around.
He's making 7 Ultralisks, but frankly, I don't know why, because he's up against a composition that's way too strong against that. But what other choice does he have? He doesn't have a Greater Spire. 6
Immortals, 4 Colossi. Good luck with your Ultralisks. There they go, trying to move in. A few Queens still left for the transfuses, but can you really make this happen? I don't think so.
Oh, he's taken way too many hits already. The Lings come from behind. He needs to target those Colossi.
The Lings have a good position. The Colossi target them down one by one. Most of the Ultralisks are already gone. Effort is dropping in supply, but so is Trap.
Yeah, you know, those Swarmos did a lot of extra damage to those Locusts.
It's still not enough.
It's not enough at all. And the next wave of these Frost units are going to come through and actually start to clear up the Swarmos if he can get past those Locusts.
The income is just so much better for Trap now that he's on 4 bases against only 2. And from those 2 bases, only 1 is mining. The 4th is down, the 3rd is down. In the main base, there are no mineral patches left. Effort is on the ropes. He is down for the count, and he's constantly being attacked by Trap, who just now backs off a bit so that he can build up his army again. But he has done so much damage with the last move out.
He starts a 5th base as well. This is something that Effort will never be able to touch. He can barely even afford to remake his hatcheries.
The Stalkers blinking onto the high ground, taking down this hatch that Effort didn't transfuse. Then the attack down to the 3rd base. Such a great game by Trap.
Yeah, that transfusion situation was... It was possibly what cost him this game. And, you know, now he's trying. He's getting that base up. He's sending a few Swarmos to the south, which will eventually start to take out these cannons.
Yeah, the Locusts are doing a great job against the cannons, but this is just too little too late. I don't think that Effort can turn things around here. He would need to have, I actually don't know what, some kind of grasp onto the 3rd base, but even the run-bys are not going to be successful with the cannons and the Colossi here.
Colossi
taking down 1. Just in time.
This is like something you would see in a video of, you know, showing off the Colossi can walk on cliffs back in the alpha.
Oh wow, the Locusts take down one of the Colossi.
That was poorly done by Trap, but he's up 70 supply now, clearly, so he's just going to walk across the map and say, I'm sorry, please introduce me to Game 3.
The supplies, the upgrades, the composition itself. I mean, he has +3/+3, the first shield upgrade. This is looking horrible now. The army supply is 50 against 130.
Yep. Stalkers can blink on this. He doesn't have very many Stalkers, but This is a terrible place for the Ultralisk to engage.
I don't think he cares anymore. He knows that this game is over.
Yeah, I completely agree.
A for effort, literally, but we will see game 3, and I couldn't be more happy.
GG, game 3 it is. We will see it.
I really like that. I mean, the first game was epic. The second one was really good. Trap is very relieved that he brought this to a third game, and I cannot wait for it to start.
Yeah, we'll be starting very soon. Oh man, that was...
Effort is really heated up.
Yeah.
Someone give him a fan.
It's getting a little bit hotter in Korea. Thankfully, it was a bit cold for so long.
Yeah.
Well, going into map number 3. Map number 3 is going to be Belcher Vestige. So this is a map we've seen Epic Pros versus Zergs on. We've seen late game air style. We've seen timing attacks with 6 gateways. We've even seen occasionally one base play from a Pros player or a Zerg player. Any strategy is viable here.
Yeah. This series is just blowing me away. This is everything we were hoping for. We were talking the entire time how good effort or how good Trap is against Zerg players, that he defeated Sniper, he took out Hitman in the Code qualifier, then he was able to take the games against Curious. Now he's up against effort, and this series is intense.
It is awesome. And
game number 1 lasting more than an hour, and then you're heading into game number 2 on Atlas, and the hold from effort in the first place at the beginning, and then to have this long drawn out game between the two of them, seeing Ultralisk. It was so good.
Yeah, you know, the Ultralisk choice ended up being a problem for him. That was kind of what led him to a situation where he was making expensive units that he'd already spent so much gas on the upgrades for. So it was kind of what he had to make. You know, to go into Mutalisk or to try to go into some sort of Broodlord composition would have taken too long. He had to make the Spire to restart his upgrades. And he's stuck with the Ultras, but as soon as the Ultras are scouted, it's Archons and 2 Robo Immortals. And Ultras are also slow. I mean, they're not the slowest unit in the game, but it's going to take them forever to walk all the way across and kill that 4th and 5th base also that Trap has.
From the beginning, he was aiming towards at least a melee composition, either going into the Broodlords later on or more likely heading straight into the Ultralisk. You could really see that he was researching the melee upgrades from the start. Whereas in game number 1, he was focusing more on the range upgrades since he wanted to go into the Swarm Host and make sure that he slowly pushes forward. But this was a very different game from game number 1, even though we saw the Swarm Hosts here. Game 3, that's what it comes down to. One of these two players will advance to Kodes, either Trap or Effort, one of the two. And Belcher Vestige is going to be the last map. And Effort, I have to tell you, that doesn't help you at all. Like, whittling away with those arms and trying to fan a little bit of air towards your face with only your hands, that does not work. That's actually counterproductive. At least take a sheet of paper or your mousepad to make that happen.
Yes. That's true words. Well, Effort, I think the momentum is definitely not in his court. He seems to be the much more stressed out and heated up player, whereas Trap just looks at this like he's a robot right now ready to take his next victim. He's got no emotions going into this one.
Belcher Vestige. We could see another long game.
We
might
could.
see a complete switch in strategy, but another long game, I would love this. The first two were amazing. Let's go straight into game number 3 at the GSL Korea, the WCS Korea Challenger League. Effort versus Trap. Game 3 brought to you by Colin Wolf.